This podcast is brought to you by Steede Motor Group, Claregalway. For your personalised vehicle shopping experience, find out more at steedemotorgroup.ie.
So we can finally breathe now after the group stages have come to conclusion in the Galway Senior Football Championship. The preliminary quarterfinal now is going to be Tuam Stars versus Barna, we think, because St. Michael's are lodging an appeal in to the Connacht Council on Monday evening with this new score difference rule. Um, I'm not going to try and explain it because I'll probably just do it wrong because who knows what it is at this stage now. But anyways, so we'll see what comes from that and whether they'll stay in relegation or what's going to happen between that group there because they're all living on points and score difference and different things, bits and pieces have to come into the equation. Just before we get into the drama and stuff, lads, of last night, Manus, I get the feeling for Spiddal this year. It's been a tough championship.
Yeah, I suppose we've had kind of a tough run from start to finish really this year. Didn't really have a great league campaign either. A lot of lads have been travelling away and stuff like that. I suppose when we had Liam O'Callaghan, Finian O'Loy and Anton O'Loy missing from the start of the year, and Anton and Finian kind of only coming back there in the summer, like it's been kind of a lot of bit of disruption and stuff like that. But I suppose there's been a lot of positives too for a lot of young lads coming through getting senior championship. But I suppose for us it's kind of a slight little bit of a rebuild this year, and if we can managed to retain our senior status has been probably a real success for us.
How big was it getting Finian back?
Oh, it's massive. It's massive. Like I suppose like Finian was an important part of the Galway panel there that got to the All Ireland final there only last year, like, and it's not easy to replace players the likes of Finian, gone away there, but I'm coming back here the last few weeks, he's really driven us on there and had a big game against Lettermore there. He scored a massive goal for us in the first half and made some really good interceptions and tackles and stuff like that. And, just real quality player, like, and we're only delighted to have him back, really, to be honest.
And how big is that result for you? You bet Lettermore at the weekend, so you now get this relegation preliminary playoff game, and if you win, you're safe, and if you lose, you enter this dreaded four where nobody wants to be. Two teams dropping, but yeah, coming up against Caltra now, who had a big result last night.
Yeah, listen, Carrickstrand had a huge result last night. I'd say, it probably wasn't seen around the county, like, but they really bet kind of Clannon emphatically, like, and they'll be entering that game against ourselves, saying, it's a great chance for them to pick up a result, against Spiddal, like, no more than ourselves. We're going to target this game. We're probably in the same boat last year, where we bet Oughterard and then we bet James's in this prelim kind of semi-final before the relegation group of four. But listen, nobody wants to go into that relegation group of four. It's tough. You're out 3 weeks in a row, I think, and let more there, and we just fell over the line against them. And depending on the Michaels appeal and stuff like that, Michaels are a very tough senior team as well. But I suppose for likes of St. Michael's, like losing Tyga Malley, who's gone travelling now, is a big blow to them, I suppose. But listen, whatever the other two teams that end up in that group of four, it'll be hard to pick who'll actually end up staying up and who'll end up getting relegated.
Just before I bring Pork in, can you just tell me what's relegation like being involved in this?
Listen, it's a different, I suppose, kind of pressure. Like, we're not competing at the top end, getting to quarterfinals or semi-finals and stuff like that. And I suppose for us, it's been kind of, it took us long enough to get up to senior there in 2018, like, and winning the intermediate championship is, it's very difficult to do. And, there's no guarantee of any team going down that they'll go straight back up. Like, look at the likes of Incarrua, they're into relegation in the intermediate now, like, and it's such a high pressure environment trying to win that intermediate championship like that. You're doing everything you can really to try and survive at senior, but I suppose like you want to be kind of kicking on at senior level too, and that's something that we probably haven't done the last 2 years, like for ourselves in Spiddal, which is probably just a disappointment. But listen, it's every team must be getting to a quarterfinal, semi-final, but realistically, like we just haven't been at that level now the last year or two. But if we can retain our senior status, we've given a lot of 17, 18, 19-year-olds a lot of valuable experience in senior championship this year. And listen, they'll only improve, the following year as well. Like, so please God, if we can get a result against Carrickstrand, we'll take it as a success for ourselves this year.
I presume you're going to be shouting for on Spiddale's upwork.
No, I'm not that type fella now, so I'm not, Paul.
Down pod.
Just on last night, Padraic, just the drama was just literally unbelievable.
Yeah, look, it sure was. It was a cracking into the group stage, which has been a enthralling group games so far this year. And what a way to end last night. Obviously, Carlisle thinking they had beaten Killannon, and that probably was going to be enough when Sawtill had kicked the looked to be the winner. Eric Lee stepped up then to equalise the game. So look, it was absolutely crazy, and for spectators around there, it was unreal to experience something like that.
Just now, Padraic, when you're thinking, like everyone has probably lamented 17 teams being in senior championship, but obviously next year it's going to be straightforward, 4 groups of 4. But there's almost a sense of you don't want this gone now, because you look at last year, James Healy's moment, and you look at last night, at that table just went up and down constantly.
Yeah, like that's exactly it. Look, I know it's next year we're probably going to be back to the 16 teams, 4x4, and it's just going to be a lot easier. I think it'll be easier for the county board to run than anyone else, to be honest, more than anything. But yeah, we've been absolutely treated to a thrilling group campaign this so far this year, and look at we know what's in store now for a cracking prelim quarterfinals and quarterfinals to come.
So just on, if we start by looking at Group 2, lads, the Group 2 results: Corofin 1-8, Barna 4 points, Saltill Knocknacarra 1-10, Uachtarard 1-10, and Caltra 3-7, Killannon 1-9. If we look at that game in Killannon versus Pork, it's a hard one to kind of assess, because we still don't know where Saltill are at. And Uachtarard went 4 points up without Matthew Tierney, and they're going to have regrets.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly it for me. I only heard the news throughout the day that obviously Matthew Tierney was going to be missing for Uachtarard. I thought it was a big blow to Uachtarard. But Uachtarard showed the fight that they have shown all year. Even without him in the league, they've been battling performances, playing some great football. They have a great management team there. So they will be, like, obviously, I suppose a draw, both team has regrets, but at the same time, they're both going to say they both got through. So Sawtill will be the exact same in that terms. They just probably need to get their firehouses like Tom O'Callaghan, Rob Finnerty, Carl Sweeney, just need to get them probably firing a bit more for them if they are to have a dent or a say on this championship.
Manus, I'll bring you in here at Saltill, because it's one we've been asking now for a couple of weeks. Like, where are they? Because they haven't went overly well in this group. But all last night, seen them get second place on 5 points, but it's just very hard to put your finger on what's happened there at the minute, or why they aren't playing as probably well as we've seen them play last year.
Yeah, I suppose for Saltill, I'd say they might have still had the hangover from last year's county final. Like, they're on the verge of beating Moycullen there, bar, a high ball that went in, and just, a lucky break, and Moycullen got the goal from it. But I suppose for Saltill this year, I would say that, they probably had a few lads that went travelling after the All-Ireland series finished for Galway, and maybe the Saltill management haven't had their full selection around all year round either. Like, and building on a settled team there is difficult, like, when you go straight into championship. Like, but I suppose for Saltill to make the knockout stages probably been the big one for them after, a few disappointing results. Like, but they're a team as well that no team will want to play either, because they have top quality players, in the likes of Tomo and Rob there, that really can, do a lot of heavy scoring very quickly for them as well. Like, and they have a good backbone of a team there as well. Rory Lavelle, very solid in goals there for them, and John Maher midfield, Carl Sweeney. They have some really quality players. Like, and I suppose a lot of teams around the county will try to really, try and shut them down as well as best they can. But listen, Saltill could erupt in a quarter-final and semi-final, and we could say to themselves they've peaked at the right time, or it's a difficult one to call. But listen, they're still a very, very dangerous team. Like, and even when they're not really on form, and they pulled it out of the fire as well last night to really bring it back against Uachtarard. Like, so it's a difficult one to call in Saltill, but I think they're still a very dangerous team, and a lot of teams won't want to play them.
Is there a sense here of managing the run, Padraic, or with Saltill? Like, what do you think's happening there at the minute?
Yeah, like Manus touched on it there, it could literally be something like the skills of John O'Mahony. They could really be just coming into firepower at the right time. Could be picking up. They know that what the what's expected for the next 4 to 6 weeks of them from here on in. So probably was when it was targeted, they probably said, right, get to the quarterfinals, then we start playing our football. But look, we don't know. We don't know what goes on in the Salthill camp. So, like, for them, look at it, they're into the quarterfinals. At the start of the year, if they were told they're getting through to a quarterfinal, they would have took your hand off. So there they are again. So we just don't know what's coming around the corner.
With that part, they haven't been going over really well, but I suppose the biggest positive they take last night when they go 4 down after Niall Lee's goal and Enda Tierney's 45 midway through that second half, 1-8 to 1-4. They kicked the next 6 out of 7. They're 111 to 110 up before Eric Lee's point, and then Carl Sweeney's shot gets saved. Donny Hunt hits the crossbar, and then you're just kind of thinking when you're listening to that, is Anton going to go right for Salthill tonight?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Like but it does show the resilience and the fight they still have. Like they were, I think, they went 4 down, all right, from Niall Lee's goal, but they got themselves back into it again. They've showed fight, got scores, and then they had obviously that opportunity. Probably, if you look back, probably should have took the point to go 2 up and push the game to that Upterard needed probably a goal to affect the game. But look at it, it's easy to say that now in hindsight.
We looked at Mághnus. Regrets obviously last night. How do you think overall they're going to assess this championship? Because they were kind of, from the outside, many people kind of tipped Upterard to be the kind of dark horses of this year's championship.
Listen, I suppose Upterard, based on last year as well, like they were in that relegation group before, I think. So it's I think more for them, it really is a positive. They've made strides this year for themselves, like, you know, that they're not brought into that dogfight again, and they're really looking to push to get out of that group stage for themselves. Like, but they've produced some good game matches and good results this year for themselves. You know, they're on the verge of beating last year's county finalists last night. Like, you know, bare kick of a ball, they had them beaten. But like, I suppose, you know, when you have the likes of Matthew and Enda, and then you have Niall and Eric Lee as well, like, you know, they do have a lot of firepower up there as well. Like, and it's I think for themselves, they'll take it as a positive that they're not really dragged into another relegation fight, and probably just disappointed that they didn't make it out of the group as well, just to have a crack at a team in a quarterfinal.
But overall last night, it was probably earlier results that Mághnus ultimately cost them a couple of draws, a different disappointing performance against Killannon in the last round. But like, with the loss of Matthew not having him last night, and to produce a performance like that, that's overall they probably overall have finished their championship campaign on somewhat of a positive.
Oh yeah, huge positive. Like, and if you had said to, you know, any team around the county that Matthew Tierney would have been missing for them against Salthill, you would have been saying that Salthill probably might beat them by 4 or 5 points. Like, that's, you know, the kind of influence that Matthew Tierney would have in a game. But, you know, listen, I suppose it's the same thing with a lot of teams, is when your star man is missing sometimes and the backs of the wall, other players really rise to the occasion. Like, and that's the case with Upterard there last night. Like, you know, they really stood up when they had to, and it goes to show you that they're not over-reliant on Matthew either, that, you know, that they can produce great performances without him as well. But listen, it's been a good year for Upterard. You know, they've solidified themselves again in senior, and that's a real positive for them.
Just before we get into the other games here, Paul, I can bring you in first, and I want to bring you into Mághnus. It was something I tweeted about on Twitter during the week. There was obviously the games we had Thursday night. But Padraic, we were just looking last night at a couple of these venues, and Corofin and Barna really seems to be the kind of eye-catching one. Like, it was a neutral venue, it was obviously a Thursday night game, there's challenges, and the game gets fixed for Milltown.
Yeah. Look at it. It was obviously a strange one. I actually seen your tweet during the week, and I actually couldn't agree anymore. I think the facility of Dangan there is a perfect facility. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs and why it's not being used, but like, it was a strange one for someone like obviously on a Thursday evening for the likes of all the Barna players to go across all the way up town and then go out past Tuam. Like, so it was a strange one, I suppose, in the terms of that way. But it was, yeah, like, it does make you wonder why the likes of Dangan isn't being used.
Mághnus, what did you think of the venues?
Listen, I suppose the county borough probably struck for pitches around the place, like, but, you know, we are limited, I think, for midweek games here in Galway. Like, we don't have that many venues that can, you know, have games played under footlights, under good quality floodlights as well. Like, and in fairness, like Milltown do have fantastic facilities at the moment. Like, and fair play to them for making their pitch available, especially during the bad weather and everything. But you know, it's a mystery really why Dangan wasn't really used more for these games, especially midweek as well. Like, 'cause it's a great facility, good pitch. It's well able to hold. Like, you know, it wouldn't have had that much traffic on it the last few months either. Like, so yeah, you'd probably just have to wonder, was there any inquiries made? But listen, it's not Corofin's fault that the game was scheduled for Milltown, you know. But listen, the teams have to get on with it as well. Like, and listen, Barna probably won't use that as an excuse either. They've gone on with it, and you know, listen, they just didn't get the result they probably needed as well last night.
Yeah, obviously that game yesterday, Pork, it was strange because Barna lost by 7 points, but yet they're celebrating that they're kind of through to the preliminary quarterfinals. They don't score in the first half. They have a conversion rate of 4 out of 20 shots.
Yeah, it's a very strange one to be fair. Obviously losing by 7 points, it's a mixed emotion, but then you're qualifying for a prelim quarterfinal, so you're obviously happy on that side. For Corofin, it was probably about going over there, just getting a job, getting workout into a good few players. I seen their team it was pretty strong compared to I think the 2 weeks before when they played Carla. So look at for Corofin, obviously they're building towards having a squad, maybe 20 to 25 players ready available for selection coming towards the latter stages of the ground. And then for Barna, it's probably an issue they're dealing with. Four conversions from 20 is a stat that speaks for its own.
And Corofin now number 2 for you, Pork.
Yeah, I think Corofin are number 2. I do think Moycullen. I've been very impressed with Moycullen. I seen them on the very first day out against Spiddal, and I couldn't believe even the intensity they had that early in the year. And I've seen a few times, even just the levels they brought, and even when up in Duggan Park in the group game against Milltown threw everything at them in the first 15 or 12 to 15 minutes, and I was just so impressed with how well they managed the game and just got scores on the board, which you need at the end of the day, and just pushed away then again in the second half. Just look like they can raise the intensity levels without players of the caliber of Sean Kelly that day as well.
Corofin with that, Mághnus, they're going about their business quite nicely. Like Moycullen, both of them teams finishing on 10 points. They do seem to be the big two at the moment, but like even last night in hard conditions, Corofin always kind of seemed to have an element of control in that performance against Barna.
Yeah, like listen, Corofin have probably been the same there the last 10, 15 years with the Guards, the way they can control the game and the way they have ideals of playing the game of football as well. Like, but anytime you come up against Corofin, like they always seem to have control. They have a way about playing the game, and a lot of their players understand the roles that they go into. Like, you know, they've kind of built a new team again, moving on from them teams that have won the back-to-back Club All Irelands. Like, they've built again, and you know, they're still a very, very good team, very good outfit. Like, but it's amazing. Like, from a team that had won a few Club All Irelands, they seem to be kind of almost going in under the radar in terms of like, there's not that a whole lot of talk about them actually going winning the county title this year. Like, and I'm sure that'll be hurting a few of the players, and they'll want to crack at it again. Like, they feel that they're probably going to peak there, you know, looking for a quarterfinal, semi-final, and looking to put in a big performance, like, and really say, okay, listen, we're back again, and we want our Frank Fox back in Corofin. But I suppose other teams have really come to the fore as well. Like Moycullen, you know, they are the real powerhouse in Galway at the moment, like, and it's going to take some team to really wrestle that Frank Fox hold of them.
The big thing already, Pork, is for Corofin mainly this year, it's just been influenced Brian Cogger, Patrick Egan, and Jack McCabe that have really added to this group.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, look at them. I've seen them play football last year for the under-19s, and I thought they were so impressive. And even the way at the early rounds that Corofin lads have just introduced them in, and then even when the young lads do come on, they look, or even if they're playing, the experienced more players, they go and find them with the ball, give them touches on the football to build their own confidence. Obviously, when you're touching the ball as much as regularly as much as you can, it gives you confidence. So it's been a very interesting one from Corofin, and like man I said, it will take a monster of a team to knock Moycullen off the top of their perch, but who's to say Corofin won't?
They can.
On any given day, yeah, it's a 50-50 game, I think, between the two of them in a county final at stake, yeah.
Do you think they can, Manus?
I think they can. Like, listen, if a lot will come down to it on the day as well. Like, but we're a long way away from having a Moycullen Corofin county final yet. Like, I'm sure there's other teams around the county that'll have a big say in it too. Like, so we'll probably have to hold that back for another few weeks.
Just on as we touched there, Manus, on Barna, it was very disappointing, like not scoring in the first half last night for them. They did come with a bit of spirit there in the second half, but like ultimately we're always kind of trailing against Corofin. They're true to the preliminary quarterfinal, as we mentioned, against Tuam Stars. But for Barna now, the only way is kind of up when you're looking at that performance against Corofin.
Yeah, I suppose Barna have probably really been an enigma really around senior championship there the last few years. Like, for a team that has produced a lot of, very good underage teams for the last, I'd say, 10 years and stuff like that, they probably really have not kicked on at senior level like they would expect to, and the prelim against Tuam will be a difficult one. It's a hard one to call really, like, because either team could come up with that with a big result, Barna, I suppose they're quite defensive team, like, but their conversion rate now really last night it's not really, that's not going to win you any championship games. Like, if you're only scoring 4 points, realistically, like you're not going to really make big strides. Like, so for them to probably go out and beat Tuam, they're going to need 12, 13, 14 scores at least, like, and I suppose they probably have to go a bit away from their defensive side of the game and maybe a bit more focus on the attacking side to get them scores up. But listen, they're a very difficult team to break down as well. Like, they when they're back, they all do know the roles as well, and they know that defensive game inside out as well. But it'll be an interesting one, I suppose, when they play Tuam.
Boy, because that's the thing with Barna, very hard to break down, but they're really struggling for scores outside of Oisin Gormley up front. I think it's fair to ask this question now, but like, do they have the forwards compared to other sides?
Yeah, like look at the Oisin Gormley's a fantastic footballer, and like there are forwards there for them that will get scores. Obviously, last night was probably a day where it could be just one of those days in the office where your conversion just wasn't there and wasn't hitting. So yes, their defensive setup is very hard, and it's very impressive. It's very hard to break down. So like even the likes of Corofin only hit 9 scores in them. So you're kind of wondering that side of the game too. But I do agree with Manus' sake, like you need 12 to 15 scores to be winning championship games.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's an improvement there. But Borg, I was obviously in Tuam Stadium today. You were there, Corofin against Caltra. Were desperate, it's safe to say. It didn't look like they were going to turn something around, but like Jesus, last night 3-7 to 1-9 over Killannon. Like, what a performance, backs to the walls job and everything there.
Yeah, look, it was a incredible performance, and even for Cardiff, it's a massive boost going into the relegation playoff. So like they will take a lot of confidence in from that, and the real leaders stood up, like the likes of Johnny McGrath. I heard was absolutely immense last night. So it's just Kevin Alley around the middle of the field as well. So these are lads that have played senior championship, have made an impact. Even Johnny McGrath has been massive impact to Galway. So for them, it's going to give them massive confidence. Like hitting a scoreline of 3-7 as well on Killannon. Probably no one would have expected it, like, because going into the game, you had the likes of Patrick Sweeney, Johnny Heaney, these footballers for Killannon that look like have been playing some serious football here in the group stages. So for Cardiff, it is a massive boost going into what's going to be a cracking tie against Spiddal.
When you're relishing, Manus.
Oh yeah, well, I'm glad we're in it, that kind of way. But listen, Cardiff, they're a tough opposition to play against. We haven't had good results against them now the last year or two, like, so. Listen, it's going to be a tough one. Like, it'll be two teams that'll be nervous as well, and there'll be a lot of mistakes, and probably won't be the prettiest game either. But it's all about getting the result at the end of the day, and it'll be kind of whatever it takes to get that result. We'll try and do, like, but they'll be in the same boat, and they'll have their own plans and strategies for us as well.
Kieran Donlan back was huge though for Caltra last night, Bork.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, look, he's an absolutely cracking player. I seen him play underage football last year. I was very impressed with him. His speed is something frightening. So it is, and his eye for goal then is unreal. So he'll be really testing the arms of Mághnus next week, I can imagine.
With Killannon then, it's man, it's probably very frustrated, I'd say, today, because like ultimately if they won that game, they were more or less safe and true.
Yeah, listen, like it was probably the shock of the night, really, you know, in terms of results and stuff like that, like, you know, but Clan are a very, very good team. You know, Padraic and Paul Sweeney, they've been the driving force with Clan in the last few years, last 10 years, 12 years. Johnny Heaney, you know, there's some serious footballers up there in Clannon, like you know, they'll be hurting, you know, and it's just a big disappointment for them. But like, sure, they've a prelim relegation game now to play, like, and they need to get their heads back in around it again. Like, you know, they're not going to make the knockout stage of the quarterfinals, like, but you know, they don't want to go into that group of four. As I said, like, it's the last place any team wants to be now at this stage. Like, so listen, they'll have to regroup, and you'd expect there to be a kick in them, you know, when they play Dunmore again the following weekend.
You think they got caught in the hop last night?
Listen, it's a hard one to say, like, but you know, I suppose every when you see a result like that, you're saying to yourself, oh, they were caught in the hop. But I wouldn't think that Glenna would be underestimating any team, in fairness. Like, that's not their style. Like, you know, they had a great result only a few weeks ago, and you know, a lot of teams would have seen them going to a quarterfinal. Like, so it's just probably a disappointment for them, but they'll regroup from it and they'll be ready to go again, because you know, they are a well established senior team now at this stage.
Were you surprised with their performance last night, Bork?
Yeah, I was surprised. I did obviously going into the game. I would have fancied Killannon just with the firepower of the likes of Johnny Heaney and the two Sweeneys, Dara Welsh around the middle as well. Like, so I would have fancied them probably going into the game. But at the same time, the change of culture in Carlisle and Brendan Murphy coming in, a very experienced man from that Carlisle team, he's came in and took over the job. So like, there was always going to be a bit of backlash, I suppose, off Carlisle, and they showed with that performance last night.
So Tommy Joyce had stepped down last night, had he?
Yeah, he'd stepped down. He'd stepped down last week. So yeah.
Okay, that was the first I heard of it now. But yeah, that's a interesting one. What happened there? But obviously that group now stands at the minute. Corofin straight into the quarters with Sawtill, Barna, Chimstairs prelim, Uachtar safe. Killannon played Dunmore McHale's in the relegation playoff, and then Caltra and Spiddal in the other relegation playoff. Just moving on to Group 3, no better place to start, but there was a moment of the weekend, anyways, for me in Group 3. Manus, Dylan Brady's hit on Darren Hennessy has to be one of the best hits, anyways, in Gaelic football in a long time.
Yeah, listen, it's rare enough hits now you see anymore. I have to say, like, you know, geez, he had him lined up, I'd say, as soon as the pass is given, it was some hit. The one thing I will say, like, you know, I have to say, it was good refereeing as well. Like, you know, it was shoulder to shoulder. There was no free given. It was a crunch and tackle, like, and you could see all the Dunmore lads celebrating as soon as the ball was turned over. Like, you know, it was as good as any goal or anything like that. In fairness, like, so I have to say, the ref has to be applauded as well for, you know, letting that kind of hit go, because I suppose some games there, it looks like a non-contact sport sometimes when you watch senior championship, but you know, that was a great super hit, like, and I tell you, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it.
As Vanna said there, Pork, he had him lined up from a mile away.
Yeah, definitely. You can see it, even the video speaks enough volumes of it first. So, but it was a cracking hit from Dylan. But Manus kind of touched on it there. It's something I was very, very impressed with it from Dunmore, even from 2 weeks ago when they played Tuam. Anytime they turned over the ball in defensive areas or defensive parts of the game, of the pitch, they'd all celebrate as if it was nearly like a goal they'd got. And it was a real driving factor for the defence. And I thought it showed so much confidence for them. And obviously they'd be disappointed probably with the results against Claregalway last Saturday. But look at it, it's something they'll build on going into that relegation playoff.
It was almost like back to the old times. Man, it's just bringing you in here from goalkeeping kickouts, but like Claregalway decided to put the squeeze on. Conor Gleeson just decides to boom it out. Colin Costello gets on the end of the first one, puts it to the back of the net, long run. Then he almost kind of nearly gives a harder pass to his brother Padraic. He pams it in, but just Gleeson just decided to boom them, and it worked a treat for Dunmore at the weekend.
Yeah, like listen, it's something that Connor is very comfortable with. He does have that long kick out, and we have seen it at county level with them there the last few years that it is a tactic that's really employed by, I suppose, Galway, is that long kick out. It pays high dividends, like, and I suppose teams do put a lot of presses on opposition keepers and stuff, but if you can manage to bypass half back line there and out past midfield, you're onto a winner, like, because no team will ever be set up there from a long kick out as soon as you get the squeeze on. Like, so if you can get your own teammate from 60, 70 meters out, it's open country after that. Like, and you see a lot of goals actually probably come from long kickouts now, more so than actually good moves, like building up the field, because teams are so defensively set up. Like, but it is the danger when you do press, a Conor Gleeson there, that he does have that range of a kick that he can bypass the press almost. Like, so it paid high reward for Dunmore the last day. Like, and for them to come up at senior, they've been super competitive, gotten one or two great results as well. Like, so they'll hit it into the next weekend in really good confidence as well. Like, that their first time up in senior in a long time, that they're holding their own, and they'll probably be confident enough of trying to stay up as well.
As a forward port, do you prefer to see a long kick out coming?
Yeah, well, yeah, as a kick out like that, especially if the defense is not set up, it's probably something you do look to exploit and break as quick as you possibly can, because obviously that's the best time with the most amount of space. So yeah, look, it's a great skill Connor has. He can kick the ball a good 70 meters up the field with when he strikes through that ball. So definitely as a forward there, it is a great option to have.
Yeah, something that came out today from the inter-county season was that teams were dropping off 78% of kickouts, which was a interesting stat this year throughout the championship. You referenced Dunmore and Tuam, where you seen them, Padraic. They were 2-3-4 up at half time, and like Dylan Brady's hit was right just before half time. Then the two teams go in. Momentum seems to be with them, but in the end, was it Dunmore's lead probably wasn't big enough to going against the Breeze then in the second half?
Yeah, it probably obviously going back now it says it probably wasn't big enough, but it was an aspect I found very with Dunmore. Like, even against Tuam, I thought in the first half they were very lethargic, very slow at their play, and then they came out in the second half and they just went at Tuam really, like, straight at them, A to B as quick as possible, caused as much problems as I've seen Tuam being caused in any of the games this year. Similar enough, again, it sounds like the performance against Claregalway was similar. In the first half, they played for 30 minutes of football again, great football. In the second half, it sounded like they probably went back to the lethargic trying to control the game. And Claregalway obviously stepped it up a few levels and just pushed on away from them.
Yeah, with Claregalway, man, they really weren't at their best in the first half. They didn't really make advantage when Sean Murray got that black card, but the run on Poor Commons in the second half, he kicked 3 points, and it was just literally get the ball to Poor Commons and he shot every time. It took a while for Dunmore to kind of figure it out, but it was really kind of Mark Rowan's goal in the second half that ultimately kind of proved to be the difference. But I think from a Claregalway perspective, probably weren't going at their best, so they'll take it as a positive to get out of here, and a major positive now for them to top the group as well.
Yeah, but I suppose it's almost like a statement for them that they came back from that, like, at halftime against Dunmore as well, because Claregalway were on the cusp of almost knocking Moycullen out in the quarterfinal last year. Barry Goldrick's last minute effort, just flashing wide, like, could have been the difference for them. But I do like Claregalway. I think they're a team that will cause any team in the county a problem, like, and I think they're a serious threat for any of the teams there in Galway. Like, probably another team there that have had fantastic underage teams for the last 10, 15 years, but haven't made the big stride at senior. But I think they're just on the cusp of something here, I think, in Claregalway, I believe, like, and that's going to be a cracking tie themselves, Montpellier. I think that's, I think you might actually have a county finalist team coming out of that one. In fairness, like, I think they're two good teams, but I think Claregalway, they're very dangerous at the moment, and top in the group for them is going to be a real big confidence boost.
And why do you feel there's something special building there at the moment?
I don't know, they've just had some good results. They really pushed Moycullen last year, like, and in fairness to Moycullen, they just kind of kicked on after that game, like, but they just have some good footballers there, like, and Power Commons, he's a really good young lad. He's still able to kick scores there. Barry Goldrick's still flying around the place. They're just kind of, they're a dangerous enough team, like, because they had so many kind of good players everywhere, like, and they're always capable of producing a big scalp.
Yeah, it'll obviously be key now for them to get Jason Riley and Jack Lynn back from injury. And Jason Riley's didn't look good. Looked somewhat of a twisted knee, but I'm not actually sure what that was. Again, that inside line has really been firing in the last 2 games, between Rowan, Flaherty and Nathan Granger, who's impressed throughout the club championship. Kicked 1-6 out of Claregalway's 1-12 at the weekend.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore, Paul. He's been really the driving force for the forwards. I feel like Barry Goldwood has been absolutely superb at centre half forward, but when the ball goes into Nathan Ranger, he's very good at drawing a foul or taking on his man and getting scores. He's been a really, really bright aspect for them, and so has Mark Rowan. But Nathan Ranger has probably been the standout forward of the three.
Has he seemed somewhat to bulk up, do you think, Pork?
Yeah, he looks like he's probably the year senior has probably done him a lot, and he's built muscle, and he looks a lot more. Even just when he picks up the ball, he looks like his one aim is, I am going for goal. You either stop me or let me score. So it's really plain or simple for him. It looks like, but he's shown his ability.
And for them now, Pork, as I was mentioning to Mághnus, they topped the group obviously after Tuam's result against Montbellew. So it means they can't play Corofin or Moycullen till a semi-final if they are to meet them along the way. They've been a club that's talked so much potential, but this really feels like it could be a turning point for them.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree anymore. Mághnus is right. The last 10, 12 years, it's been always Claregalway are contesting under 15, 17, 19s, all the A finals and that. So it looks like maybe the future is very bright for Claregalway, and it's really starting to reward for the senior team now.
Do you think they can get to a county final?
Who knows? Any given day, it's weather, pitch, everything plays into factors. So it's when it comes down to it, you just have to see who it is on the day they're playing.
And Mághnus, what do you think is the goal for this Claregalway team now?
I'd say they want to be in a county semi-final. I would say that's the big target for them, really. Like, and listen, they've gone to the stage where they got to the knockout stages, but for them to top the group, that's a real kind of statement of intent for them. Like, and they're going to be going against a Montbellew team there, with John Daly, Michael Daly, Barry McHugh, good footballers there as well. Like, so that is going to be a very, very difficult game. But I think that result
the draw has to happen there yet.
Oh yeah.
With Montbellew, but they can't play Montbellew again, obviously, because they've met in the group stages of the championship, but they could meet again along the way. But you mentioned their county semi-final be their aim. Just on Tuam then and Montbellew, Tuam Stars 13, Montbellew 12. Poor Tuam looked dead and buried and shocked and everything, but to come around with this result, it just sums up this Tuam Stars character when you think of them as a team.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, look, it's probably the home of Galway football, as many people would say, Tuam Stars. So look at myself, I didn't see this performance coming from them. I'd seen maybe 3 or 4 of their group games, and just seemed to like they were just lacking something. But obviously they've set down a marker, and their battle with Barna next week will be one hell of a cracking game. But what a performance to put in against a team we probably always seen as the top 2 or 3 teams in the county.
Yeah, with that, they left it late. Brian Mannion gets the winner, and there's actually a great photo online of the Tuam Stars players checking their phone to see how the other result went in Ballinasloe.
Yeah, like I suppose they would have been hurting. I suppose Tuam from a few of the results they've had, But listen, they're only delighted. The way that group finished up there last night, like it's unbelievable. Like, but it's going to be. It's interesting to see how Tuam will get on now against Barna, like, and can they kick on there for the next stage as well, like in the championship, like. But it's interesting, I suppose, for Tuam there, like another team that kind of seems to be getting quarterfinals, semi-finals, but they want to kick on as well. Like, there's a lot of teams that want to kick on and probably need to kick on before time catches up with a few of their more senior players. Like, but listen, they're only delighted. They've picked up a few good results there now. So listen, they'll be confident going into that Barna match.
This Montpellier result, though, man, is you feel it can kickstart their season from here on in.
Oh, you would, like, and as Padraic just said there, like, they've probably beaten one of the top 2 or top 3 teams there in Galway the last few years as well, like, and that's only going to bring them a lot of confidence as well, so it's time for Tuam to really kind of kick on for themselves, really.
Yeah, and even you look at the scoring charts this weekend, Brian Mannion 5 points, Jamie Murphy 2, 7 out of the 13 scores, but especially to win in that manner, Padraic, like last kick of the game to win it.
Yeah, definitely. Look at it. It's an unbelievable performance and a result for Tuam. So it will give nothing but confidence to that Tuam squad going into the game. So look at it. Montpellier themselves will be probably a bit disappointed they've missed out on securing top seed there. I think a draw would have done them as well for top seed. So look at it. Now it's all to play for.
I asked you what happened to Salthill, but was it a sense for Montpellier of kind of this game kind of felt somewhat of a dead rubber because a draw or a win would have got them through? Was it kind of coming in with that mindset, do you think, that might have affected them here?
Yeah, look, it probably it does revert back to something like that. But look at in terms of the game, it's good for them. They got more minutes into. I see Michael Daly stepped onto the field. It's more minutes into Michael Daly, another massive addition back to the Montpellier squad. So they will probably be disappointed in their performance of losing the game, but in terms of the game, they probably won't be too disheartened and will move forward. I know Barry McHugh missed a free towards the end to draw the game, I think, but he'll be disappointed in that for knowing his own standards. But so for Montpellier, it's probably just a game they're just going to try forget about as quick as possible.
With Montpellier without James Foley, but is the loss of Patrick Kelly starting to tell here now, Manus, do you feel?
Yeah, like, listen, Patrick Kelly there, I think for about 2 years there and 3 years in club football was one of the most dangerous forwards in the county, to be fair, like, and as overall positive, getting Michael back to be losing Patrick as well is a big blow to Montpellier. But listen, he adds something different to that Montpellier team. Like, he can almost take the game by the scruff of the neck. Like, Montpellier are very, they can be a very controlled team as well. But when Patrick has the ball, he can rip apart a defender inside out, like, and he's capable of scoring goals and points from anywhere as well. So he's a loss, no doubt. Like, but again, I think Padraic alluded to as well. They'll only be delighted that getting Michael back onto the field again there, getting more minutes into him is only good for themselves, and it's great to actually see Michael back on the field as well, which is a big positive for Galway as well.
Yeah, Owen Finnerty staring there as well, but 4 points for Montpellier. That's obviously where Montpellier came up short. Then just Group 1, Moycullen got over the line against Down. It was a dead rubber, really, 211 to 111. Moycullen had topped that group. James McLaughlin and Niall Walsh, the best performers there. 2-4 piece, 1-2 from Walsh and McLaughlin each were key in that victory. And then obviously, as Man has touched on early on, a huge result there for Spiddal coming over Lettermore. The game in Tuam between Milltown and Jamesport, it lacked quality. It was probably tense for both sides, but this is huge now for St. James's to be in the same pot with the top seeds.
Yeah, definitely look at it. It was a game I was probably looking forward to most myself this weekend in terms of I was very impressed with both teams from the championship so far. But look at it, did probably lack a game of quality, but James got over the line. They showed they know how to win ugly now as well. So it's a massive boost for them. They're in the pot with the top teams. So look at it. It's an opportunity now they could get a nice quarterfinal and possibly a chance of a county semi-final.
What's impressed you most about James's?
I've been very impressed with just they've used the experience of the likes of even Owen Cannon, Paul Conroy, Johnny Dewan, but then the youth they've bred through, like the likes of Sam O'Neill, has been absolutely fantastic for St. James's in this group campaign so far. They've just shown that like they seem to be able to win games where they didn't look like they could win them before. It even started out, I remember the first day out, they took down Down when a lot of people would have fancied Down to take them down. So it just showed they've probably got a bit more meaner and probably winning games that they probably wouldn't have won in the past.
For Milltown, then Mághnus, there's a sense of regret because that was a huge opportunity to be on the same side as the three teams that topped the group. This was ultimately whoever won this best second place. They'll definitely be disappointed with the performance to only register 1-6. James is kind of did lead for the majority of this game as well.
Yeah, I think Milltown will be disappointed. They're probably the driving seat of the group there to really finish second for themselves. But I think Milltown have done well kind of this year in terms of, Mikey Martin is performing well for them. Mark Hare is performing, they've just, they will see it as a big disappointment. But I think to touch back on the St. James's, how they've been really this year, I think it's been really, really important that, Johnny Dewan has been back for them this year and playing a key role for them there at centre back. He's a real orchestrator there at that back line, and I think he's been a real driving force for James's really this year, in terms of organisation and in terms of just, leading on.
It's just how he plays that 6 role, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, he's one of the most intelligent footballers I've ever played with, Johnny. We played minor and under 21 and senior with him, and he's super intelligent, great reading of the game, and super hands. And listen, he's got a fantastic kick, pass, and delivery. So for him to be back for James's for the full year has been a massive addition for them.
Milltown now, Padraic, they can only play Corofin or Claregalway in a quarter-final.
Yeah, look at for Milltown, we've seen all year they haven't feared playing anyone that they've come up against. They have the firepower. They do have the likes of Niall Costello and Liam Costello have been absolutely superb, and they caused enough problems to any defence in Galway, in my opinion. They're so direct, they run at you, cause problems. Then they have the forwards of Mike Martin, as Manna said, and Mark Hare that can kick scores. So look, they'll relish the opportunity against probably one of the top 3 or 4 teams. They'll relish the chance of playing them, and there is a county semi-final at stake. So.
Yeah, no. So that draw obviously takes place after Tuesday. Just then on the intermediate prelims, so Viho Brannock's overcame Williamstown 114-14, Cortin 13, Ormore married 8, Caltra 116, Gabriel's 1-6, St. Brendan's 4-10, Clifton 6 points. Managed to surprise you seeing a certain man on the edge of the square for Cortin Shamrocks at the weekend.
Yeah, I think the New York role there of Adrian Varley really had a big influence on that transfer, I think. But listen, it's a big addition for Cortoon to get the likes of Johnny Glennon there, especially when Paul Varley had the serious injury at the start of the year. But listen, he's hard enough to mark at inter-county level, never mind at club level. So he's a big addition there to that Cortoon side, and he gives them a different kind of dynamic as well.
How much would you hate if he was in front of you as a goalkeeper?
Well, I would probably say there might have to be a free in, I'd say, at some stage, but listen, he's a huge unit, and listen, it'd be all timing with him. If you're going to contest with Johnny, you better break the ball, otherwise he's going to turn and put the ball in the back of the net or win a free. So it's, again, I said it's a huge addition there to Cartoon, and it's almost, you wouldn't see that kind of player really at club level really anymore, that that real colossal kind of player there on the edge of the square and everything like that. So it's almost something different for teams to decide on, because that room one ball there isn't played a whole lot really anymore, because it's more teams are probably playing percentage ball and playing less high risk stuff. But listen, if you high risk, high reward there, if you're putting the ball in on top of Johnny and Adrian Fairley, they're 2 fantastic lads to have in there on the edge of the square.
Got Joey Donlan in there too, Padraic.
Yeah, I was just thinking of his name there, right? It's another massive man in around the edge of the square. So there's a lot of firepower in that Cortoon Shamrocks forward.
It was a big result for them though, over or more, because it definitely felt like one of the preliminary quarterfinals was a toss of a coin.
Yeah, look at it. I was intrigued to see the result in that game, and for Cortoon, obviously the difference of losing Paul Varley at the start of the year with the dreaded injury to his knee. So, but I didn't see it coming. I did think it was going to be a lot tighter than it was. For one more, they'd be disappointed. Probably they had a reasonably good league campaign, stayed up in Division 3, and then just didn't push on in the intermediate championship again this year.
Another two results, man. It was comfortable really for Caltra against Gabriel's and Brendan's against Clifton over the weekend.
Yeah, like listen, Brendan's kind of really dismissed Clifton. Really, they're a good team there. I have to say, Brendan's. I think they're a dangerous team there at intermediate. Like, but like it's again, it's a difficult one to call. Like, who's going to come out of this intermediate championship? Padraic, you know it yourself. Like, it's a real dogfight when you get to quarterfinal, semi-final stage. Results get thrown up there, and favorites are dumped out, and a dark horse might come through. But listen, there's going to be some real cracking quarterfinals there.
Yeah, there
And then
sure is. I couldn't agree
obviously,
anymore. Like there's I've been, as Mana said, I've been so impressed with St. Brendan's. There's some serious forwards there. Carl Healy, Rory Cunningham is firing as well, and then they've powerhouses around the middle like James Mulrooney, flying it. So they are going to be a dark horse in this. But then again, there is the likes of Kilconnelly, Monavea Abbey, who didn't play this weekend. Like there's going to be teams there. It's going to be a cracking into a great championship.
that draw in full is Behold Brannox versus Monday Abbey, Caltra versus Illinois, and Brendan's obviously they're coming up against Kilconnelly as well. And then Cortin Shamrock's coming up against Glenamaddie. So they're the four quarterfinals. Toss of a coin, you could literally say, lads, in all four of those quarterfinals.
Yeah, 100%. Like they're all four of them. They're literally a toss of a coin. Some cracking ties there. Like I wouldn't be like Manus now. I wouldn't be a man to pick the winners of them.
Oh man, listen, honestly, God, if you had to throw your hat at a team there, you probably couldn't at this stage. It's literally it is a toss up between anyone, and it is probably the most open intermediate championship I've probably seen in a long, long time. Like, and it's going to be, whatever the quarterfinals be, interesting to see who the semi-finalists in the intermediate will be now in a few weeks. Like, because they're really cracking ties, and the Monavea and Meal Branagh game really stands out in paper. Like, but every team is going to be looking at that going saying, geez, we can make a semi-final here and anything can happen after that.
Who's going to win intermediate, Manus?
Difficult one to say. I think we played Monavea earlier on in the year and I was very impressed with them. I thought they were really good young energetic team, like good, just solid all over the place. Meal Brands are going to be thereabouts as well. They seem to be, they've been in two intermediate finals, semi-final, probably jumped out last year as well. Like, they'll want to get back to a semi-final as well. Kilconnelly last year's finalists, it really could be anyone. If I say if there was a team to come out of a tie there, probably one of Meal Brands, I would probably expect maybe one of them to make the county final, but I can't really throw my hat at anybody to win it yet at this stage.
And Borg?
Yeah, I not often I'd agree with Manus now much, like, but it's probably a one I'd look at as well. I think the county finalists will be between with the tie of Monavea Abbey or Brannox. They're two teams that are just experienced, probably know how to get there. As the next job is getting over the line, I suppose.
Just then to finish, a couple of questions come in. Manus, there's just a question. You're obviously stepping down now from your role with the ladies as joint manager with Fiona Wynn.
Yeah. Listen, there's been 2 years done there with the Galway ladies, and it's probably to keep it fresh now at this stage for the girls and everything like that. And the process is probably open up there now for new applicants and everything like that. But listen, it's been probably an enjoyable 2 years as well. Connacht's champions there last year, getting to National League final this year, beating Cork for the first time in championship football for the Galway ladies is a big one as well. Like, so it's probably just for them now to get onto that next level as well. Like, and I'd be very interested to see how they get on next year, and hoping the girls do really well for themselves.
Was this year always going to be your last year?
Listen, it's very, I suppose it's a lot of time commitment and everything like that, and probably for myself, I probably suffered in terms of not making enough club training sessions and not being sharp going into the senior championship this year. Like, again, it's still nice to be playing at this age, and there'll be plenty of time to be doing coaching and managing and stuff like that. But listen, it's been a fantastic experience as well, and 2 years is a big commitment. I suppose nobody really knows about the time commitment that goes into a county setup. Like, you're full time at it as a player. But I think what I've definitely learned from the last 2 years is that it's much easier being a player at intercounty level than it is being a manager at intercounty level, because you get to really concentrate on yourself when you're there at the moment, playing and everything like that. But you're dealing with a lot of people when you're going into that role, and there's so many other things that need to be sorted behind the scenes as well. So there is a big appreciation for the lads that do go into intercounty management and stuff like that. So it's a big commitment, but listen, it was a very good experience as well.
Yeah, and just under relegation, in the intermediate, Corofin B bet on Caharua, Caltra and Clon, bet Killearn. Padraic, you're obviously in the North final now, but when you're seeing them teams in the relegation and potentially 2 of them coming down, are you looking up saying this has to be here?
I know. Look, we're in an All-Pro final, against Menla that bet us in the group, so we're going in as underdogs. So we'll have to put in a performance and hopefully come out on the right side of it. But obviously, you see the teams coming down from intermediate, so it is quite scary down in junior.
Overall, what's the standard of junior football been like, would you say?
Yeah, it's been impressive. And look at it in the Northport side of it. Anyone could beat anyone, and it was kind of shown in the final standings of the group. So we're in a Northport final. We don't know. We're in against a battle against probably one of the team that topped the group. So we're going in as underdogs. We don't know what's going to is. We just have to give a good performance, and hopefully the results will match the performance.
Yeah, so that's Headford and Menla in the Northport junior final, where they face the winners of the Westport final. That still has to take place as well, does it?
Yeah, the semi-final and final has to take place in that chat.
Yeah. So then the 2 winners play in the junior football final. But that's all on our podcast for today. Looking back at the club action, it's been a weekend and into this week full of drama, but it's coming to a conclusion. Next up is Tuam and Barna, and we'll be back with a kind of review of that and then a preview of the quarterfinals later next week. But that's all for today. Thanks a million to the lads for coming.